All right, you guys, I got a big one for you today. Here's a problem I see all the time, which is that most big commerce stores are bloated and they use rigid themes, and those themes force you to adapt your content to fit the theme. And ultimately, that theme is a slow piggy. I said it. We're talking about heavy code, one size fits all layouts, slow load times. If any of these strike a nerve with you, leave me a comment below and let me know what you think. Now, this is not a big commerce problem. A lot of people blame big commerce, but this is really a how you BigCommerce problem. And in this video, I'm going to show you guys a better way to BigCommerce, a better tech stack. And before we get started, my name is Cal. I'm a developer and a store owner just like you. And I run a community for BigCommerce store owners and e-commerce store owners that you're welcome to join. I'll leave a link below. With the modular approach I'm going to show you guys, you can have a lean foundation. You can use flexible blocks and make your site content first. It's the best of everything. You're going to be able to have a faster, leaner, fully customizable layout. And yeah, on BigCommerce, right? Whether you're just getting started or already doing 7 to 8 figures, this series is for you. Now, I'm going to run through this as if you're going to build this for yourself. But if it turns out that you want help or you want it designed to a higher quality and implemented in this manner, reach out to me through the link in the description. I'll talk about this more later. Before we get started, let's agree on a couple things. I believe that speed is important in your site. I believe that your content should come first and foremost before anything, because ultimately your site is the thing in which you speak to the world. And so what you choose to say matters. Content should come first. And thirdly, your site should be modular so that you can build it the way that you want and you can change it over time and that you're not stuck again in this rigid theme scenario. So what are we talking about? We're talking about starting with a lightweight theme, preferably the fastest theme for BigCommerce. We're talking about widgets pre-built for this theme and a philosophy that everything should be modular so that you can change things over time and not get stuck in the mud. We've built all the pieces you're going to need in a framework we're calling BC Mod Stack. I'm going to go over the specifics, but in this first video, I want to talk about the concepts. In the next video, I'm going to show you guys how to actually put all this stuff together. And in the third video, I'm going to get into some technicals that you may appreciate if you're, in the code yourself, or if you have a developer that's already working with you. But I want to show you guys, how to get into the weeds and how to actually, do the code side of things if you want to. So let's talk about modularity for a second. And I want to really explain this because when I look at sites as a designer, developer, I'm going to look at sites a little bit differently than you. And I want to kind of use this, use a couple minutes to explain to you kind of how I see things. Now, let me share my screen and let me show you a couple modules that I see on really almost every site. Almost every site is built of a couple of different modules. There is the hero, right? I call this a hero overlay. Basically a background image with content on top of that. Maybe there's a title, maybe there's subtext, maybe there's a button or two, right? But it's all kind of the same concept, which is an overlay hero. Secondly, you see a lot of alternating banners, something where there's an image on the left or the right, and then there's content to the side of it, which again may include some buttons. You have product feeds, which show products that you can add to cart or buy. And I know that here I have my titles that say blogger category, but this is representative of products that you could see on your homepage, for example. You have image cards where you might have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 across, and you have an image followed by some kind of title, maybe a subtitle, and some kind of button, right? Calls to action. You have text blocks, entire chunks of the page that may just have a couple paragraphs on it. You have a text hero, which could be at the top of the page or down below on the page and features a headline, some text, and maybe some buttons, right? Now, the exact details here are not as important as the overall concept of these blocks that I'm describing. Let me make myself a little bit smaller here, and let's go over a couple examples of sites and how I see them. So this is, hopefully you guys can see this. I'm zooming out a lot so that I can show you the blocks, but this is Solo Stove's website, and I'm purposefully picking sites that are not anything that I've developed, but just sites that I think, represent a lot of what we see out there on the market. So if we look at Solo Stove's site, this first block, guess what? It looks just like a hero block, right? A hero overlay. And then you have this bestsellers block, which shows 4 products across. So guess what? That's pretty much I'm going to just drag these over here as if I'm building this page. but this is basically a product block, right? It's just shown 4 across instead of the 6 across that I have here in my pre-made, screenshot or whatever. Then you have a shop by category block. Now these aren't products; these are just showing images and text that go to the image, go to those specific categories. So guess which block this looks like to me? It looks like these image cards, right? And what do we have underneath that? Oh, look at that. We have another hero overlay block, which I'm a big fan of putting heroes, farther down on the page. Then they have another hero overlay block, right? Then they have another hero overlay block. And so if I'm deconstructing this and just kind of looking at the guts of this page, this is like what I see as a developer. I'm seeing a hero, I'm seeing products, I'm seeing image cards, I'm seeing another hero, another hero, another hero, right? And once you have these blocks under your control, it's just a matter of switching out the titles, switching out the image, switching out the button that they point to. But this is basically the guts of the Solo Stove page, right? It doesn't seem unapproachable when you look at it as if it's Lego blocks or building blocks. Here's another site, Revolve. So I'm seeing a hero up here. I'm seeing some image cards here. I'm seeing more image cards here. I'm a huge fan of this 3 across image card. I call that a triple hero. But these are basically just image cards, image cards, image cards, image cards, more image cards, and then, perhaps an alternating banner right here, followed by a product block. Again, we've gone through 2 different sites' homepages, and you see that between these 6 blocks, these pages are just made of these 6 blocks, right? This is Bombas, if you're familiar with them, and they have some image cards right up across the top here that have the image behind the text, but it's still basically image cards, followed by a hero overlay, followed by image cards, followed by products, followed by a different view of image cards, followed by an alternating banner. So, and more image cards down here. So, Bombas, third site in a row, could be built with these 6 building blocks that I'm talking about. This site, Good Thomas, which is a pretty cool looking site, has a hero overlay. It's got image cards. It's got product cards. Oh, this one has the text hero right here, just like I was showing you guys. Product cards, product cards, product cards, product cards, more image cards, more images, and something down here where they're showing like a video. And so sometimes you'll see a layout that maybe is like 80-90% these 6 blocks, and then they have one that's a one-off that would require some custom code, right? But for the most part, like all these sites that I've showed you guys are basically built from these 6 different widgets, if you want to call them widgets, right? And so I think that's really important to know, because a lot of people come to companies like ours wanting us to design the heck out of everything, and we are here to design it. We're here to make it look beautiful and amazing. But when you break it down, you're like, wow, this is repeatable elements. And if your site was actually built out with these as repeatable elements, then you could take these elements and say, like, let me just zoom out and make some room here. When you look at these as modular, say you are Solo Stove, and this month your website is built like this, but next month you want to have a hero overlay, and then you want to move your product cards up at the top to try something different. I'm sorry, your category cards, and then you're going to want to put the product cards below there, or maybe even put a second hero over there, right? And you can see how if your site is built with these as flexible building blocks, you should be able to move them around month to month, week to week. You should be able to change your content super, super easy. And this is all possible in BigCommerce. I just don't see people doing it. And that's why, I'm making this video, is to show you guys how to BigCommerce better. The question is, if you had these 6 modules and a fast site built to run them that doesn't get in your way and have a bunch of fluff that just slows everything down, if you had these 6 blocks that I just showed you that these major competitors are all basically using, whether they're hard coding them or whatever, like however they're getting them, if you had these as widgets that you could use and out, stack how you saw fit and change as you saw fit, put in your own content stuff in, would you be able to BigCommerce better? Okay, so we've agreed on a couple things. That speed is important, that content comes first, and now you know why I hope, that your site should be modular. This is so important right? This is the difference between having a static site that never changes and having a dynamic site that can change and adjust and constantly stay fresh without you having to go back to your developer every 5 seconds, right? So, in order to make this work, we've built a couple things for you guys, and you're not required to use this. BigCommerce can work this way, whether you look at the stuff that we've built for you or not. But I want to show you what we've built and why we've built it. First of all, we've gone ahead and built a theme. Let me share my screen again. We built this theme called Epic Superstore, and we built this purposefully to be the only theme that really works in this mentality, right? Which is the modular, speed first, content first mentality. So we built this theme called Epic Superstore. It's currently available in 3 different variations. I'll show you guys. This is the fashion variation, basically a white background. This is the electronics variation, basically a dark background. And this is the camping variation, which is basically a little bit of both, right? It's got a light background, but everything is boxed basically. Now, this theme is not trying to wow the heck out of you. It's not full of JavaScript. It's not full of features that you're just going to bulldoze over anyway because you don't need them and they're making your site slow. This site is officially the fastest third-party theme on BigCommerce, and it's not full of junk on purpose, right? Because we want you, again, to use widgets to fill up your store. And so this is how the Epic Superstore fashion looks like right out the gate. It's basically a very, very minimal overlay on top of Cornerstone. It's very close to Cornerstone. We didn't do what other theme builders have done, which is to bulldoze over entire folders of components and stuff like that. We're using all the stuff that Cornerstone uses. We just made it look 5% better, which to be honest, is a drastic difference, right? So we gave it an actual nice header. We gave it the ability to have, drop downs both under categories, under pages, all that kind of stuff. We fixed all the things that basically we fixed on the last 1,000 build outs that we've done over and over and over again. And we thought, hey, what if people just started with a theme that already had all these fixes in place, right? Novel. So this is how it looks right out the gate. You can see on the demo store, it's got BigCommerce's carousel on there, which I'm required to put that on our demo store, but I suggest you guys don't run a carousel because carousels will slow down your page from all the images and they decrease your conversion. So while we have to have this on the demo, I don't recommend you actually use the carousel, but I'm getting in the weeds. Underneath there, we have an optional sidebar that you can turn off if you don't want it on your homepage. We have featured products. The featured products have some additional subtext that's pulling from the first characters in the product's description. It's just a really nice minimal theme. Everything is nice and super fast, and I can prove it. Here's where I prove it is I've released an article here on our site. I'll leave a link to that. And in this article, I basically speed tested all of the BigCommerce theme demo stores using Google PageSpeed Insights API. Now, the demo stores, because they're not production level stores, they don't have the same, hardening of the servers. They're not optimized for speed like yours will be. And so my results are going to be slower than expected. But by testing all of the demo stores in their demo store environments, we can tell you definitively which ones are faster or slower. And we put everything into a table where you can see Cornerstone is basically, this is your Google PageSpeed Insights composite score. Cornerstone is going to be effectively your absolute fastest theme on BigCommerce, followed by Epic Superstore Fashion, Epic Superstore Electronics, and Epic Superstore Camping. And so we're in, the top 1 of third-party themes. We're in the top 10 consistently, even compared to Cornerstone, which is fair because, we took Cornerstone and we add just a little bit to it. So it's fair that we, slipped just a tiny, tiny bit in order to offset the gains that you get. So you can see all of the themes on here, including some that are very, very slow down here at the bottom. And we highlighted in red the ones that are the bottom 20%. But we're not here to, this video is not here to call out all the other theme builders. It's here to show you that this is the lightest weight, fastest theme that actually looks good. Because, if you looked at Cornerstone, you may not be excited to make that go live right this second. So what if you could have a version of Cornerstone that's basically just as fast, that actually looks good out the gate? Well, what this means is that even though, all the developers out there, us included, historically have always coded on Cornerstone because it's the fastest, most minimal starting point, if you can have a starting point that's basically neck and neck with that and requires way less code because it looks good right out the gate, you're going to have just way less custom code. You're going to have, the ability to hopefully save some money because less stuff needs to be customized. And I can help you save that money. Now, this is the theme as it looks, right? And this is part of it. As I mentioned, this mentality this framework that we're calling BC Mod Stack is inclusive of using a lightweight fast theme. It doesn't have to be this theme, right? So to be fair, you can use your current theme. You can use another theme. It's just that if you use this theme, you're going to have a much faster starting point, meaning your site's going to end up being faster when you're all said and done. What you're going to use in addition to this theme, or in addition to the theme of your choice, is widgets. And so we've created some widgets that represent the widgets here that I showed you, right? And they are, in my opinion, optimized for our theme, but they should look good on really any theme. And so you could take your current theme and just add these widgets to it. Let me show you. Let's see. So this is the site for the Epic Superstore fashion demo. Let me show you a different demo site that has the widgets I'm talking about installed, which is this right here, epicsandbox2.mybigcommerce.com. Now, this is a working sandbox. So if you go and visit this right now, it may look different because, we play around with things on this all the time. But, what we did is we took that same exact demo, we changed nothing in the theme, but we added the overlay widget right here. So this is not a carousel. This is specifically a static widget so that you only load one widget and it saves you, half a megabyte of page load over a carousel, which is going to obviously speed things up. We have a product set widget that's built for this theme. It has an H2. It's got subtext. It's got, product cards. You can change the number of product cards across if you want. You don't have to have, you don't have to use all these features. You don't have to use this. You don't have to use this, but we're giving you a starting point, and we're giving you actually an unstyled starting point with these, meaning that we're not adding a bunch of code here to change like your font size or your font weight or, rounding corners and things like that. These are widgets that are built to be custom widgets, but they're unstyled out the gate, which means that they're ready for your developer or me, if I'm your developer, to go in there and customize these things, which, again, I'll show in a later video. We have the image cards laid out here. We have the text here all right here. We have alternating banners right here. We have blocks. So, what are we talking about? We're talking about a theme that already has all this stuff ready to go, right? You can build it however you want. You can change it however you want and make your site what it should be, which is a megaphone for your message. Okay, let me show you something else that's important to know when talking about a theme. I have a browser extension up here that's called SEO Meta in One Click. This is a free browser extension. You can get it, you can use it, and it's really nice. And let me show you what it does. When you click to open it, which I think is showing on my screen, I can click into headers. And this shows me the HTML elements, at least the headings that are on the page, because we want to ask ourselves, does this make sense if Google visits this site, right? And this is just looking at like this supermarket demo store, right? I'm not trying to pick on them in particular, but you can see that there's an H1 here, which has no text in it. We can see that there is all these H2s here, which I don't know where these are coming from, right? Because like the headings that I see on the page are, should be an H1 on the page, and then maybe like featured and best selling, maybe, right? Maybe computer and office. But you know what? I don't see any of that stuff in the HTML here on the page. Consumer electronics is a section, so I would expect that to be a heading that shows up when Google scans it. But instead, I'm seeing furniture, demo video, super sale, another video. Like, where is this stuff coming from? And so if you want your store to rank on search engines and now on AI, like it's got to be digestible by their crawlers. And so if you see a bunch of like weird headings that don't match what you're trying to say, kind of have to ask what is Google going to take away when they crawl this? They're not even seeing like a main heading element, and then they're seeing a bunch of stuff here that doesn't relate. And then we do see the featured and the best selling here. And then there's like H4s under here. What you should have is you should have one H1 that decisively targets the keyword that page is referencing. And then you should have headings that match the content on that page so that Google understands how to digest those. And those H2s, yeah, they can be broken down into H3s and H4s if you want. But man, look at all this stuff that's here. And I don't know if this is all like if you get this theme, do you really intend to have 20 headings, 20 sections on your homepage, especially if they don't match the actual content that's there? And it's not just your homepage. You should look at whatever theme you're using and your current theme. By the way, you should get this free browser extension and use this yourself. So I'm looking at a category page, and what do you think should be the H1? It should probably be computer and office, because that's what this category is about. And I don't really see any content sections on the page. Maybe subscribe to your newsletter. Maybe these footer headings, right? This is probably what I would expect to see as headings on the page. Let's see what Google sees as headings on the page. I see, okay, first of all, I see 2 H1s. That's a huge no-no. I do see the H1 that's probably surrounding the logo. I see an H1 that is computer and office. So this is what should be the one and only H1. And then I'm seeing, what is this, an H2 called sidebar? This is the most important and first subheading on your page is something called sidebar. What in the world? So I don't see any other subheadings other than sidebar. So apparently this page is about blank and sidebar, right? Let's look at our theme and how it shakes out. So coming to the homepage on our site, on the Epic Superstore demo, look at this. We have the actual title of the site in an H1. That's what you should see. We're seeing featured products, which is the first actual title on the page, in the H2, right? Let me go back to it. We're seeing new products, which is the next section down there. We're seeing the subscribers, and then we're seeing the footer start, which is good for ADA compliance. But look at how much cleaner this is than what we saw, right? Let's go into a category. Like let's go into the women's category, and let's look at the heading structure there. Look at that. Women's, right here, exactly what we would expect. Followed by, the stuff in the footer and the join 2,000 subscribers. Now, this stuff isn't bad to have on here as H2s, but what's important is that this stuff comes after any content that we would put on the page. So if we put some paragraphs in here, like an actual category description, it would show up here, and any potential headings that we put would basically be elevated from what you're seeing here, which would make it more important overall than the stuff in the footer. If we click into the product page, into the headers there, look at this. We see the actual H1, which is the product name. We see an H2, which is the H2 that's manually been put here in the description. We see write a review, join the subscribers. And so, yeah, again, what we see here for the H1 is actual content. What we see here for the first H2s are actual relevant content. And so, this is important, right? If you look at your own category and product page and look at the heading structure on them, and again, you can get this extension for free for Chrome at seo-extension.com, and you can look at your own site your own self. Just push the red S and click on headers, and you'll see how your site structure looks. All right, so let's recap. What the heck are we talking about? We're talking about a system that's going to result in faster load times. We're talking about a system that, to be honest, between the theme and the widgets, you could probably build your site out yourself if you're on a super tight budget. So quicker, cheaper to launch. You're talking about clean code where you don't have to put 5,000 lines of CSS or whatever into the actual theme, which, by the way, makes it way easier to update down the road. I didn't even talk about that, but updating your theme involves taking the default theme that you start with and all of the lines of code that you've added and figuring out which of those needs to be brought forward to the newest version when you go to apply it, right? So from a developer standpoint, if you have just way less lines of custom code contributed to your site, you're gonna have a much easier time updating it when a new version comes out. But most importantly, we're talking about giving you guys better control over your own content. Now be sure to like this video if I'm speaking your love language here. And if you want somebody to do this, we have a package where we can help you create your brand content, create your outline, create your menu, your category structure, custom design your homepage, and most importantly, implement this in the way that I'm talking about, with a light, fast theme that's not junked up with a bunch of spaghetti code from Upworkers, built with widgets so that you can modularize your content, not just on your homepage. Keep in mind, these widgets, once you have these 6 widgets built, you can use them on any page on your site. You can create landing pages. You can use, some of this stuff on your category pages, on your product pages, on your blog pages. These become tools that you can use everywhere in your site. And best of all, because we are, saving you guys so much time and money having this this preset starting point between the theme and the widgets that we already have built, we can do this in a way that saves you a lot of money over the quotes you've gotten from other people. And we can get this thing launched for you in a week or two. I mean, faster, better, cheaper, everything all in one package. So if you guys are interested, please reach out. And, a lot of the ways that we help people at this point is through coaching. So if you guys are interested in working with a partner that understands BigCommerce, can push BigCommerce to its limits and help you guys figure out how to accomplish your goals, reach out and let's talk about that too. So I mentioned this is going to be 3 different videos. So in this video, we kind of went over the overview and how it works and why it works. In the next video, I'm going to show you guys how to actually get the theme, how to set it up, how to get the widgets. And, if you are the average store owner that's just getting started, you'll be able to get started right then and there. In the third video, like I said, I'm going to go over a bunch of technical stuff, like how to customize the widgets, where to customize the theme. And that may be very useful for you if you're getting into the weeds or if you have a developer that's working with you. Either way, I'm excited to show you guys the next step. So click to see the next video. Thanks so much.